Ladies and gentlemen, this is Michael Fazio from the Florida Keys, and today I'm going to describe to you what a detonation looks like. And there's a reason for that, because I say that there's a nuclear detonation represented over the eagle's head. A typical detonation has particles, and if these ball bearings were particles, and they were blown up as a detonation, they would expand outward as the star represents in 360 degrees. Okay, so this radial bearing and the steel bearings that are inside the radial bearing represent particles of nuclear fissionable material, for argument's sake, and inside the starburst that appears over the eagle's head, you will see particles expanding outwards in all directions in circular patterns, which is a detonation. It is not a radiance. The Lord God that is represented as the radiance of the Lord God over the pyramid is in fact a glory. This is a glory because the rays that radiate from the eye of the Lord God radiate in straight lines outwardly. This is a glory that gives life, and this is a nuclear detonation that removes life. The reason that this exists is complex, and it goes back 7,000 years, because there has been a race or civilized nation of people and a remnant society placed upon this world that has been in control of all the governments and religious institutions for the last 7,000 years. Proof of that is the fact that there are 3,300 pictographs on the $1 bill. And today we are going to discuss the 44th POTUS, because he is the person that is going to be responsible in my book for 2 nuclear detonations or catastrophes, and that part of the prophecy inside my book, aka angelsontheark.com, that can be seen by clicking the link under this video, has already come true. My prediction of 2 nuclear catastrophes on Obama's watch has come true. It was published April 15th of 2010. Moving back to the fact that this is a nuclear detonation, the presidency of the United States is known as the chief. So the chief is the person, the commander-in-chief that's in charge of war. In this case, the war that we had around the time of the creation of the $1 bill ended in a nuclear catastrophe for Japan. However, when the $1 bill was created, the only methodology of war that existed for the chief of that period in history, which would have been the chief of the Indian nations, was a bow and arrows. This is clearly arrows in the eagle's sinister claw, and this is clearly a bow of arrows in the eagle's dexter claw. Although it's a bow, spelled B-A-U, there is another pronunciation and another spelling associated with the bow, spelled B-O-W. Therefore, we have a bow and arrows. And we also have an Indian chief, as denoted by the headdress that appears over the shield as the shield of the United States of America. It is used by both the chief of the United States of America, represented as the eagle, and it is used as the chief of the Indian nation, represented as a chieftain. However, I also say to you that this in its entirety, aka the entire evil seed of death, is a representation of Satan, because everything inside the evil seed of death has to do with death. Arrows kill. The sinister claw rips apart the meat that the eagle would pounce upon, typically from the rear. The bow is the object that projects the arrows. The headdress represents the chieftain of the Indian tribes, which is in charge of the war of the Indian tribes. When you take it and turn it upside down, you have the chieftain of the United States of America, once again protected by a shield that is only necessary during war, and you have a nuclear detonation over the chieftain's head, which was created at around the same time the $1 bill was placed in circulation. Therefore, the evil seed of death has nothing inside the evil seed of death that has to do with life, as opposed to everything inside the God pod having to do with life. The glory around the circle of the Lord's eye that projects itself through a portal from heaven, in theory, and is described in great detail in my book, gives life. The glory is the giver of life. The waters are the origins of life, and land is where life as we know it exists, aside from the various life forms in the ocean. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a brief description of the two forces of energy, aka the yin and the yang, that the Lord God has seen worthy to place upon the entire obverse and reverse of the $1 bill. Now we are looking at a pictograph of the Ark of the Covenant, that which the Lord God's energy sets upon. And that is a topic for another segment by Michael Fazio from the Florida Keys. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say thank you for taking the time to review my video. Please click the link and review my book at Amazon.com.